A Komomida Curtain Call, a weekly program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and or with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. The Period 2 Advanced and Intermediate Acting class at King Kekaulike High School, under the direction of Chris Kepler, produced a stylish adaptation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and William Gillette's international smash hit play Sherlock Holmes, adapted for high school productions by Tim Kelly over the last 2 weekends. The play, originally adapted by and starring the legendary William Gillette as the famous detective, opened on Broadway in 1899 and has had 9 productions, the last one closing in January 1976. Since it opened, it has had 902 shows. It had a huge success in England, and the tour lasted more than 2 years. Over the years, the greatest actors have portrayed Holmes, including John Barrymore, Orson Welles, Leonard Nimoy, Frank Langella, and of course the greatest and best known Holmes, Basil Rathbone. Sherlock Holmes is perhaps the most well-known, although not the first literary detective. Edgar Allan Poe created the first. With more than 25,000 film, television, theatrical, and publications featuring him, he is acknowledged by the Guinness Book of World Records as the most portrayed human literary character in film and television. The play opened with 2 newspaper hawkers, Bennett Guzman and Bella Moon Hunkin, announcing crimes in London and the wedding of the Prince of Bohemia. The butler, foreman, Sasha Wittenberg, is discovered looking at the paper by the lady of the house, Madge Larrabee, Avery Tanaka. She accuses Foreman of attempted blackmail because she has knowledge of embarrassing information to the prince that they think is in their possession. Foreman assures Madge of her confidence and informs her that their housemaid, Teresa Leela Coop McBean, is about to give notice. Madge tells Foreman to summon Teresa. Her husband, James Helson Hurton, enters and she gives him the paper. He immediately gets what the possibilities might be, since the letters they almost possess will be very valuable to the prince. Teresa comes in and is asked why she is giving notice. She informs the Larrabees she is upset by their treatment of their friend Alice Faulkner, Jessa Heinz. Madge confides in her Alice is demented, and that assuages Teresa, and she agrees to stay on in that case. In those days, abuse of those with disabilities was okay. Enter Sid the safecracker prince, Della Height, who goes to work on opening the safe where they think the letters are. The lock was changed by the real owner, Alice, who understands their value and wants that for herself. Sid opens the safe only to find it empty. The Larrabees are incensed and determined to get the letters from Alice by any means necessary. When it is announced Sherlock Holmes, Ethan Bisa, has arrived, Sid freaks out and flees because Holmes was responsible for getting him locked up. Holmes enters and immediately finds the safe, determines that Sid has been there, and insists on seeing Alice. He represents an insurance company employed by the prince to obtain the letters. Alice lets everyone know she intends to extract maximum value for the letters, quote, thousands and thousands of pounds, unquote, to be precise. Teresa rushes in to announce a fire under the stairs. Alice grabs a pillow and asks why Sherlock isn't going to assist. He announces it's not a serious conflagration. He has everything under control and pulls the pillow from Alice, revealing the letters in the pillowcase. The fire is out and everyone returns to find Holmes in possession of the letters. However, Holmes, being a chivalrous gentleman, says although he has possession of the letters through trickery, he cannot take them unless Alice gives him permission, which she refuses to do. Holmes accepts her will and tells the Larrabees that should anything happen to Alice, they will be held responsible. Holmes departs and Sid returns. He suggests that he knows someone who can help them. The scene shifts to a crowd of suffragettes, Mrs. Bassick, Sonny Baresi, on soapbox imploring for the rights of women to have the vote. It is an impassioned speech. While the onlookers are enthralled and distracted, other undercover criminals are bilking them of their jewels and wallets. Now we meet Professor Moriarty, ABCDE Alapai Hashimoto, the evil genius in her lair. She is getting a report from her secretary, Joan Bella Tamarini Davidson, about thorns in the professor's side that have been dispatched permanently, and giving her orders about others. When Joan mentions that Holmes will be the star witness against them, the professor has a burst of anger at the mention of her prime nemesis's name and determines to deal with him. Mrs. Bassick arrives with the haul from the suffragette heist and informs the professor if women get the vote, then this income stream will cease. She is assured by the professor this will not happen. When Sid arrives and tells Moriarty about the letters and the Larrabees, Moriarty is incensed that Sid has brought these interlopers to his lair. Sid assures the professor they're okay. The Larrabees enter and James makes the almost fatal error of insulting the professor. The professor assures the Larrabees she has no interest in the letters, only that they will be instrumental in her finally getting Holmes out of the way. And the game is afoot, as Holmes would say. The audience is then in for an entertaining detective story combining mystery, romance, action, danger, and laughter. As Sherlock Holmes, Ethan Beisa gave us a Holmes with all the intelligence, superhuman observational ability, charisma, narcissism, and knowledge of human behavior we all expect. But unlike other Holmes who barely show a feeling, only understated confidence, Master Beisa literally jumped for joy every time he said elementary, and the joy he expressed intoning, "The game's afoot." These unexpected characteristics gave us a new Holmes, one it was so much fun to get to know. Professor Moriarty is another character who, like Holmes, is his intellectual equal and is usually played with lack of emotion. But ABCDE Alapai Hashimoto created a Moriarty that was given to explosive outbursts of anger that cowed everyone in her presence. It was a powerful performance by Ms. Alapai Hashimoto. As the femme fatale Alice Hawker, Jessa Heinz was initially clever, stubborn, and selfish as the play progressed, and she was placed in peril. She expressed gratitude to the Holmes for his acumen, and in an unexpected scene that Gillette created with Conan Doyle's ascent, after he received delighted responses from the audience who witnessed this romantic interlude, had a surprising, touching moment of intimacy with Holmes, emphasized by K.C. Busianis's lighting. Dr. Watson, of course there has to be one, was played by Diego Matthews. His Dr. Watson was all of what we want from Watson, an unabashed admirer, supporter, and dear friend of Holmes. As the cunning Mrs. Bassick, Sonny Baresi gave us a character who is totally in control of every moment. Her suffragette speaker was entirely convincing, her flowers lady saleswoman worked completely, and her revelation as a criminal was a surprise. She has the ability to truthfully draw one's attention that cannot be learned. Terrific work. The Larrabees, Avery Tanaka and Helson Hurton, gave us a couple of shysters who were entirely comfortable and convincing. Both Ms. Wittenberg and Ms. Coop McBean, as Foreman and Teresa respectively, the Larrabees' household help, knew to be appropriately subservient. Dell Height as Sid is as enthusiastic as a fan rooting for her favorite team in the Super Bowl. Aria Melendez as Maggie Baskerville beautifully provided the Deus Ex Machina moment, interrupting the incipient intimacy between Holmes and Alice we all anticipated with perfect timing. Everyone in this cast and crew were giving everything they had every moment they were on. This is kind of characteristic of Chris Kepler's direction. He has the ability to bring together a group of young people in collective, exuberant performing and learning experiences. Outstanding work. Well, that's Curtain Call for this week. Mahalo nui loa for tuning in. I'm Paul James Brown. Maui strong. Ahui ho.